There was a study that was conducted by Leadership IQ, which surveyed more than 5,000 hiring managers, and analyzed 20,000 new hires. And they found that 46% of new employees failed within 18 months. And of those failures, 89%, get this, ready? 89% were attributed to attitude related issues such as lack of coachability, poor emotional intelligence, or low motivation. Only 11% failed because of technical skills gaps. Now, that is significant, right? So technical skills matter, right? We know that. They're essential in many roles, but the data tells us that mindset, adaptability, and interpersonal effectiveness often determine long-term success. Welcome to the Workforce Link podcast, where we're offering forward-thinking conversations for the workforce, linking employers and job seekers to a brighter tomorrow. I'm your host, Sundie Jo Graham with the Central Workforce Development Region, and I'm happy to be back for another episode today. So let me ask you something. When you're hiring, what matters more, experience or attitude? You know, it can feel like a real crossroads sometimes. Maybe you think, do I choose a candidate with years of experience, or do I choose the one who shows up with energy, curiosity, the right mindset? Maybe you're asking which one actually strengthens my team for the long term. Well, today we are going to dig into that question. We're going to talk about why soft skills matter more than ever. We're going to talk about how hiring for cultural alignment can shape the future of your organization. We're going to talk about when experience may not be the deciding factor that you think it is. And if you've ever hired someone who looked perfect on paper but turned out to be the wrong fit once they joined the team, you are not alone. We're going to unpack that too. So grab your coffee, grab your tea, settle in, and let's take a closer look at what it really means to hire for attitude versus experience. And this one might just change the way you build your team. Okay, so let's start with the big question. When you're hiring, what do you focus on first? Is it the resume? Is it the years of experience, the certifications and credentials? Or do you look more closely at mindset, work ethic, how somebody shows up? Resumes tell you where somebody has been, right? They highlight skills, job titles, accomplishments, but they don't always tell you how someone will respond to feedback, how they'll handle conflict, how they'll adapt when the job shifts, because the job's going to shift, right? We all know that. And we know the workplace is shifting. The World Economic Forum's Futures of Job Report continues to rank skills like resilience, flexibility, leadership, and social influence among the most in-demand competencies across industries. So that tells us, right, employers are not just looking for technical ability. They're looking for people who can learn, people who can adjust, team members who can collaborate. And there's also research that speaks directly to hiring outcomes. There was a study that was conducted by Leadership IQ, which surveyed more than 5,000 hiring managers, and analyzed 20,000 new hires. And they found that 46% of new employees failed within 18 months. And of those failures, 89%, get this, ready? 89% were attributed to attitude-related issues such as lack of coachability, poor emotional intelligence, or low motivation. Only 11% failed because of technical skills gaps. Now, that is significant, right? So technical skills matter, right? We know that. They're essential in many roles, but the data tells us that mindset, adaptability, and interpersonal effectiveness often determine long-term success. So think about this for a second. Let's reflect on this. Think about the people who have made the greatest impact on your team. What set them apart? Was it just their credentials? Or was it their willingness to learn, to take feedback, to support others, to grow with your organization? So that distinction is worth paying attention to as you build your team. Also, I'm going to share the links to both of those reports that I shared. I'll share them in the show notes if you want to dive deeper into that. Okay, now let's talk about something that doesn't necessarily always show up clearly on a resume, and that is soft skills. So these are traits like communication, adaptability, emotional intelligence, problem solving, things like that. And they're not always listed in bold, right, at the top of a job application, but they often do determine how well somebody's going to perform once they're on your team. You can hire someone with 5 years of project management experience. And on paper, guess what? That looks really strong. That looks great. But if that person struggles to collaborate or resists change when plans shift or doesn't respect the way that your team works together, those 5 years may not mean anything because they may not translate into success in your organization, your business. So skills help somebody do the job, right? We know that. Soft skills influence how they do the job. Very important. Skills help someone do the job, right? Soft skills influence how they do the job. And we actually did a whole episode on soft skills on this podcast, episode 3, way back when. I'm going to share the link to the show notes, to that in the show notes. But if you haven't yet, go take a listen, or you can watch it on YouTube, however you prefer to get your podcast. Also, I think I said this already, but I will share the link in the show notes for you. If today's conversation has you thinking differently about how you hire, here's something important to remember. You don't have to choose between potential and performance. In the Central region, we help employers bridge that gap through on-the-job training and incumbent worker training programs. So if you find the right candidate with the right attitude, but maybe they need additional technical skills, on-the-job training can offset a portion of the cost while they learn and grow in your workplace. You build the talent your business needs, and we help reduce the financial risk. If you already have strong employees ready to take the next step, incumbent worker training can support upskilling your current team. That might mean earning a certification, learning new technology, or even strengthening leadership skills that move your business and organization forward. Investing in people strengthens retention, improves morale, and builds long-term stability. So if you're ready to intentionally grow your team, learn more and connect with us at cwdregion.com/employer services. And I'll also share the link in the show notes for you. Okay, and then there is culture. Your organization, your business has a way of operating. You have shared values, shared expectations, a rhythm to how decisions are made and how people support one another. And when someone aligns with that culture, they're more likely to engage, to contribute, and grow, right? But when they don't, even high potential can be stalled. So here's a practical step if you're rethinking your hiring process. Take a minute, identify 3 core values that guide your organization. Not the ones on the website, the ones that actually show up in how your team works every day. And then write them down. And then during interviews, build questions around those values. Move beyond the, do you have this skill? And ask maybe something like, how do you approach this situation? For example, if collaboration is key to your success, you might ask this. Hey, tell me about a time you were part of a challenging team project. What was your role? How did you help move the team forward? This puts them in a position to explain how they actually did something, right? If adaptability is critical, you might ask, hey, describe a time when priorities shifted unexpectedly. How did you respond to that? Those questions are going to uncover patterns, right? They're going to reveal mindsets, and they're going to help you see how a candidate thinks, not just what they've done. And that insight can make all the difference when you are building a team that is meant to last. Okay, now let's make sure we're clear about something. Experience absolutely does matter, okay? Experience does matter. And this conversation, it's not about ignoring qualifications or lowering standards, right? There are roles where technical expertise is like absolutely essential, right? If you're hiring an accountant or an IT specialist or legal counsel, guess what? You need somebody with the right training and foundation. They need to absolutely know what they're doing. Competence is going to protect your business, right? It protects your customers. In some cases, it protects public trust. So absolutely, yes, experience counts. But here is the key. Experience alone is not the full picture. What matters just as much is how somebody applies that experience. So 2 candidates may have similar credentials, right? One may rely solely on what they already know. The other may actively pursue professional development, stay current in their field, and then look for better ways to solve problems. Well, guess what? That's a difference. And that difference shows up quickly once they're on the job. So if you're hiring for a technical role, you want to verify the expertise, right? Review certifications, ask about specific projects, assess competency, and then go one step further after you've done that and ask questions like, hey, how do you stay current in your field? Or, hey, tell me about a time when you had to adjust your approach because something didn't go as planned. Or what is a professional mistake that helped you grow? That's going to show humility right there, right? And you want somebody that walks in humility. So these questions move beyond the resume, and they help you understand judgment and accountability and commitment to growth, right? And then here's where it all comes together. So when you combine a strong foundation of experience with a positive, adaptable attitude, that is where the real impact happens, right? Those are the individuals who do more than just complete tasks, right? And mark them off. They're going to strengthen systems. They're going to support their colleagues. They're going to raise the standard over time, right? And that balance is not accidental. It's intentional. It's not accidental. It's intentional. And that is worth the effort to find, right? So here's the takeaway. Hiring for attitude versus experience it's not an either, it's not an or decision, right? It's about clarity. Clarity around the role, clarity around your values, and clarity around what success truly looks like in your business, in your organization. Technical skills matter. They protect quality, they protect performance, but soft skills like adaptability, communication, accountability, like we've talked about before, they often determine whether somebody grows with your team or struggles within it, right? So when you intentionally look for both the right level of expertise and the right mindset, you build more than a staff. You build a culture. And guess what? Culture drives long-term success. So I'm going to give you a challenge, okay? Here's your challenge for this week. I want you to take a fresh look at your hiring process. Review your interview questions. Are you only verifying skills, or are you uncovering how somebody thinks, how they collaborate, how they work with people, how they respond to change? Are you clear about the values that guide your business and hiring with those in mind? And remember, small adjustments in your process can lead to stronger long-term results. Okay? And again, if you need assistance with screening questions, want to host a hiring event, want to learn more about our training programs, check us out at cwdregion.com. Again, I will share the link to our employer services information in the show notes for you. And if you know somebody who's building a team or rethinking their hiring strategy, share this episode with them. Remember that sharing is caring. Have a great week, my friend, and we will meet again in the next episode. Until then, remember this. There's always a brighter tomorrow if you're willing to find it.
The Central Region Workforce Development Board Incorporated and COPIC are equal opportunity employers and programs. Auxiliary aids and services are available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Missouri Relay Services at 711.